Okay, so 3 feet from gold. Here's a really, really huge part, and it applies, more than just, mining for gold or the California gold rush or whatever, but holistically, like actually persevering your goals, persevering your ideas, and committing to them, well, in the best, smartest possible manner, so that you actually get the results that you want in the marketplace. Super, very powerful concept here. Let's move over to the computer and we'll make it happen. So the first story, which is the most basic story, is this guy, he's like, oh, I want to go mine gold for the California gold rush. So he goes, and then he finds a little bit of gold on this mountain range, and he says, oh, this is amazing. I found gold, right? He finds some gold. So he goes back home. He tells his whole family, says, hey, everyone, I found some gold. Awesome stuff. So he gets all their money. They all give him some cash, and he goes, starts mining. He finds some gold at the beginning, but then, it's like, oh, there wasn't gold for a while, and it was so sad because he didn't find any gold. And he says, well, crap, what am I gonna do, right? And he was young at the time, and he just stops mining after he finds this initial gold, but he has this streak of bad luck, or he wasn't looking at the mining properly, whatever it was. And because it wasn't working out, he decided to quit, which was a real shame, because he quits like right here, and as the title suggests, he quits 3 feet from gold. It was pretty crazy. So he quits. He leaves all this gold untouched, and what he does is he goes and he sells all of his mining equipment for pennies on the dollar to just a little scrap guy, and the scrap guy, he buys it all. Couple $100, and then this guy goes home. Sucks for him. This scrap guy was smart, apparently, and he took all the stuff and he got a mining engineer to come in and asked him what he thought was going to happen, where the best place to mine was. So the mining engineer comes in and he looks at it and he says, well, this is along a fault line, something like that. I think the best place to mine is right here. And then 3 feet later, they find this huge gold, millions of dollars, and it's right there. And this guy over here, he feels terrible because he was like 3 feet away from gold, but he stopped. He wasn't able to persevere at that ending moment. Because of that, he missed out on the gold, missed out on millions of dollars. So he takes that mindset. It just radically shifts his life, because this guy, all he did was take what was already done and just apply a little bit more at the end, and he reaped all the rewards from it. Really powerful stuff. And he also brought in that expert opinion, and that would be the engineer that came and said, hey, you should go right over here, because it was from a fault line or whatever. So really important to have someone come and look at your situation before you go out and just leave, which was a shame. So this man, he goes and he's got other parts of his life, and he goes out to sell, insurance. And he takes this mindset, he takes this mentality, and tries to apply it to insurance. And Hill talks about another example where there was this young daughter, young girl, she came in to a mill, and it was, his grandpa or his uncle, and they were working, they were making bread, stuff like that. And she comes in and she asks for money, and the dad says, no, I can't have any money. And then she says, but mom needs, 50 cents. And she agrees with him. That's a really big thing with negotiation, right? With any kind of negotiation, always agree with the other person, no matter what, right? Like, I can't do it, it's not possible, not gonna happen. Yes, sir, understand, I get that, that makes sense, I agree with you. How would I expect you to do that? Always agree under any circumstances, so that you can overcome the objection and get to the desired end result. With this little girl, the desired end result was, 50 cents. That's really important, that's really big. But what's more important was her perseverance and her commitment to her goal. So her dad, or the uncle, he said, no, you can't have it, no, you can't have it, no, you can't have it, no, you can't have it. But she just kept standing there, right? She held her ground. She stood tall as her own, little girl with long hair. And she just kept asking and then accepting the answer and agreeing with the no's. And then saying, and no, at the end, she says, hey, mom needs 50 cents. And she goes super hard on that. She's like, this has to happen. This is what's gotta happen. And so the uncle, he gives it to her. She gets her 2 coins. And then she leaves and she's happy. She's got what she asked for and everything's awesome. Whoa. So the really huge thing here is that this girl just kept persevering in the negotiation and she got her end result. So when this guy goes and he goes off to sell insurance, he takes that same mentality, right? He would have people that would say, look, this isn't right, this isn't gonna happen, I don't need insurance, stuff like that. And at a base line, this guy knows that these people need insurance and these people need what he's selling. And so he just agrees with them, he agrees with their objections, and then he works to overcome them. He works to overcome their false beliefs. He works to get over the problems in the negotiation so that they can get closer to that end result. That end result for him would be, issuing an insurance plan so that they're protected against whatever might come up in life, which is serious, important stuff. But you have to keep pushing, right? Especially with the little girl, she was getting yelled at or whatever. And with insurance, it's always going to be, tough to sell stuff at that end. Something really important is to persevere past the toughest point. The toughest point being quotes, because right past, that very difficult point, right past that harsh mentality, that tough environment is usually where you're gonna see, it gets really difficult, and then that's when some people quit, right? The going gets tough. The guy was 3 feet from gold. This is that level, right? 3 feet away, and he just quits. But there's an end point here. There's extra effort at the end. That extra negotiation, that extra agreement, that extra perseverance through, this insurance sale where the people say no. That little extra point at the end, that's where you get the payoff. That's where you find the gold. That's where you get the sale. That's where you win the negotiation. And you just have to persevere through that ending point, no matter how hard or tough it is, because you've put all the work in here, right? This guy mined and went out into his family and got debt and got all these huge machines. He put all this work in. This girl put all this work in. These insurance sales pitches, they put all this work in at the beginning. You just have to persevere at the end and make sure that you stick with your message and your consistency. And as long as you keep going, that's when you have the results. That's when you have the success. It's right after you originally thought it was difficult, right after you originally thought it was impossible. That's a really important factor. That's the baseline behind so much of this principle, which is super important. And so then Hill takes that, he applies it to other aspects of his life, and in this edition of it, they talk about Bill Gates and how he was using this as a way to persevere towards ideas. So there's a very distinct separation here between perseverance and then also a commitment to belief. So, Gates, he had total conviction that computer software was going to change the world and that everyone needed it, and it was just the best thing in the whole world. That's my little computer. It was huge, right? So he had total belief in this, and he understood that it was completely worth him persevering day in and day out, dropping it at Harvard to commit more time to it, because this computer, this goal, that was his life, right? That was his belief, that was his goal. And he picked that one thing, and then he just stuck to it, right? And he kept going every day, harder and harder on that one thing. And then all of a sudden, his belief, it just comes naturally, right? Because all he's doing is working towards this one occupation, this one goal, and then he's able to achieve these insane results in the marketplace because everything flows towards that. Everything is 100% there, which makes it so much easier for him to persevere because it's only one thing. He just goes hard and hard and harder. And then he starts to have success. Because then he builds his team up and he works with them together and they get things done as they persevere and they understand that, look, they might put in like 90%, 95% of the work, right? 95% of the work might be completely unpaid. They might make like $7 from, you know, their initial development, their initial testing, all the work behind, you know, the coding behind this operating system, the Microsoft platform, everything they do. Relatively speaking, they might make like almost no money from that. But then they get to that last 5%. That last 5%, and now everything comes to fruition. Everything comes together and it gets finished. They start to produce a product, right? And then they can take that to market. They bring it to the marketplace, and then, you know, they make billions and billions of dollars. Because once you've put in the work up front, like once you get the mining equipment, once you find the mine, once you've gotten the assurance actually built, once you've gotten the sale done, once you've put in the negotiation up front, when you get to that last moment, that last close, that last 5% where the extra effort is needed, you have to crush it. You have to push hard to get across the finish line. You've gone so far, just a little bit more. Once you get that, once you can go across that finish line, that's where you start to have the actual monetary result. And then, you know, Hill talks about it. The money starts to pour in because you put in the effort previously to think, you put in the work, you put in the grind, and now there's so much abundance out there that you're just wondering like, hey, where was all this money before, right? Because you're not going to get paid in abundance while you're doing the initial upfront stuff, but once you produce the value that people want in their lives, I mean, it's so much easier to get the results from them once you've put in all that work. Once you have it done, the abundance comes after that, and it comes insurmountably quickly. It's just amazing. It's amazing, powerful, powerful stuff. It's that huge, huge chunk of gold at the end, right? That chunk of gold at the end was worth like more than the entire 90% of just rocks after that initial gold, right? After the initial gold, it was just rocks and rocks and rocks. And it's not until you get to that last little bit of gold where you're really gonna get paid, right? This whole part here, you don't get paid. This whole part here, you mostly don't get paid. But those parts and those the perseverance and the work that's done in those parts is the only thing that actually enables you to get to that end result. You can't get to the goal at the end if you don't go through all this rock. You can't launch a software product at the end if you don't go through all this work. It's a necessary feature, and once you get it done, once you get to that last little percentage, that's where all the profit is. That's where the abundance comes in, and that's where you just realized that all this work you did is worth it. But you don't get there if you quit. You don't get there if you stop. You have to continue. You have to persevere. You have to go and go and go. Because you're only 3 feet from gold. Thanks, guys. All right, so I'll see you in the next module. Super, super cool stuff. Hope you got a ton of value. Hope you're loving this. I moved the little screen, so hopefully you can see me better. I hope it works well. Thanks, guys. See you next module.